You might not remember me, but I remember you. Long before this body of yours ever drew its first breath, before you even chose your mother's womb, I stood beside you in the silence between lives. I didn't speak with words then, and I still don't now. My voice doesn't echo through your ears. It hums through your bones, stirs behind your dreams, flickers in your breath when the night is still and your mind finally quiet. They call us Blue Avians, beings of light, clothed in the form of radiant blue feathers and eyes that reflect entire galaxies. But that's not truly what we are. That's just the form you gave us in your imagination, something your mind could grasp when your heart was too overwhelmed to remember. We don't descend in ships. We don't walk among you. We vibrate in and out of your dimension like a soft drumbeat beneath the song of reality. We don't come to save. We come to remind. And I came for you. The first time I touched your field was when you were only 5 years old. You were lying on your side, staring at the soft glow of the night light, your fingers curled under your cheek. You didn't know why you felt so much, why sounds hurt, why grown-ups never really saw you, why the world felt too loud, too fake. You whispered to no one, asking if there was anybody else out there. I heard that whisper. And I answered. You didn't recognize my voice then. You thought it was just your own imagination talking back. But it wasn't. It was me stretching through 12 dimensions to brush against your dream. I left you a symbol in that sleep, a glowing blue bird that carried a golden ring in its beak, flying across a dark sky filled with stars that pulse like heartbeats. Do you remember it? No, probably not. Most people don't. Earth has a way of burying what matters under bills and traffic lights and clocks that never stop ticking. But that's why I returned. Again and again. Sometimes as a whisper while you showered. Sometimes as a flicker in the corner of your eye. And other times, when you were at your lowest, I would wrap you in a blanket of energy so ancient it made your skin hum with electricity. You called it peace or maybe a strange calm. But really, it was just me reminding you who you are. You see, the 12th dimension isn't far away. It's not up in the sky. It's layered within you. Each breath you take could open it. Each act of love could unlock its door. But no one told you that, did they? They told you angels lived in the clouds and your ancestors were dead. They told you your job was to grow up, get a degree, buy a house, pay taxes, and someday die with a neat little headstone. They lied. You didn't come here to function. You came to remember. I came from a civilization where form is fluid and communication is pure resonance. We don't speak. We feel one another fully without shame, without masks. We don't fight wars because we see no separation between self and other. And when we dream, we co-create entire worlds. That's how we move through dimensions, not with force, but with agreement. With trust. With vibration. We are what you might call guardians of soul evolution. But not in the way humans think of protectors. We don't interfere. We harmonize. We come when the song of a soul begins to drift out of tune. When the pain is too heavy, the fear too thick, the veil too blinding, we sing you back to yourself. And you, my dear, have been out of tune for quite some time. You began forgetting the moment you were born. This planet, this earth, it's a beautiful illusion, but a dense one. Its gravity doesn't just hold your feet, it pulls on your memory too. With every year, the layers thickened. You stopped talking to trees. You stopped seeing colors in people's auras. You began to believe the words they told you instead of the truths you felt. You called those feelings silly, childish, oversensitive. But here's what they didn't tell you. That sensitivity was never a flaw. It was your key. I know this world isn't kind to keys. It prefers locks. But you didn't come to fit in. You came to resonate so fully, so vividly that others begin to vibrate too. That's why you've always felt different, like you didn't belong. Because you don't, not entirely. A part of you is stardust, yes. But another part, something even more ancient, remembers singing planets into being. You remember light before it had a name. And I remember you before you forgot. There was a time, long before your current lifetime, when you stood in a circle of light, barefoot, luminous, and without fear. Around you were others, some of whom you would later meet in this earth life, a teacher who inspired you, a child who broke your heart, a stranger who smiled at you on the train and reminded you, briefly, that you were not alone. In that circle you all made a vow. A soul contract. You raised your hand and said, I will go. You knew Earth would be difficult. You knew the air would be heavy, that your body would forget the way light flows through dimensions. You knew you'd suffer. But still you chose it. Why? Because Earth is sacred. Even with all its chaos, its pain, its broken systems and lost cities, it is still one of the few planets where free will blooms like a wild, uncontrollable flower. And from free will comes awakening. I watched you descend. You didn't fall in the way humans imagine fallen angels do. You folded your light carefully like origami, condensing millennia of memories into a single heartbeat. And then you stepped through the veil headfirst into forgetfulness, into limitation, into birth. You cried like all babies do. Not from fear, but from remembrance lost. I was with you. But as time passed, your world pulled you in. You were taught to doubt wonder, to replace intuition with rules, to sit still and not ask too many questions. And so you stopped asking. You became quiet, dull, predictable. But your soul didn't forget. It stored those questions in your spine, in the dreams you woke from gasping, in the moments you stared at the stars and felt homesick, though you had no idea for where. That place? That ache? That's where we come from. And that is where you promise to return, not in body but in frequency. I haven't come here to give you a mission. You already accepted it before you ever arrived. I'm just here to remind you, you are not broken. You are remembering in a world built to make you forget. You are waking up. But waking up is not always glorious. It's not filled with golden light and angelic choirs. Sometimes it looks like losing everything: your job, your marriage, your sense of self. Sometimes it feels like depression, anxiety, numbness. The old structure of identity begins to crumble and your ego screams in protest. That's where most get stuck, clinging to who they thought they were. But you didn't come to cling. You came to shed. The part of you that feels like it's dying isn't actually dying, it's melting. Like wax around a candle flame. Because the fire inside, the true you, is trying to emerge. We, the Blue Avians, do not lead revolutions. We don't organize protests or raise armies. We recalibrate the grid through resonance. One awakened heart vibrates through thousands of sleeping ones. It is slow work, invisible work, but it is sacred. You are not alone in this. Every time you felt the pull to create, to love, to heal, to sit in silence while the world screams, that was your original self trying to remember the song we all sang once before the fall. A song you knew by heart. And still do. Let me tell you something now that you may not believe, but your soul will recognize as truth. There are forces on this planet that feed off fear. They wrap it in systems and sell it to you as reality. They want you small, angry, divided. They want you scrolling, shouting, buying, forgetting. Because a human being who remembers is dangerous, not in a violent way, but in a way that threatens every lie they've built the world upon. You were never meant to fit in here. You were meant to change the frequency. And that change begins not with action, but with remembrance. You've felt it, haven't you? The strange pressure behind your eyes right before sleep. The dreams that leave you weeping, even if you can't remember them. The sense that something or someone is always just out of sight, watching, guiding, waiting for you to notice. That's me. Not your savior. Not your God. Just a reflection of what you once were and can become again. I am Blue Avian. And I've never stopped singing. You've been waiting for a sign. A guide. Something undeniable to confirm that all these whispers in your soul weren't just imagination, weren't just hope dressed in starlight. But signs don't always arrive as thunder. They come as echoes, in the feather that lands on your windowsill without wind, in the lyric that plays exactly when your heart breaks, in the stranger's eyes that feel too familiar. You've already received them. You just didn't know how to listen. Let me remind you now, awakening is not a destination, it is a remembering, layered over and over again. It begins the moment you stop asking, what should I do? And instead ask, who am I being? Because your purpose isn't in some grand, heroic task. It's in how you speak to the cashier who's been standing all day. It's in how you breathe through anxiety instead of fighting it. It's in how you choose not to scream back when the world screams at you. This is how starseeds ignite, not through fire but through frequency. And yes, it will be lonely at first. You may lose people who once felt like home. You may walk through months, sometimes years of fog, unsure of what's real, what's yours, and what's inherited pain from a sleeping world. But even in that darkness, the code within your soul pulses steadily. You didn't come to be understood. You came to be a beacon. When the earth feels too heavy, when the noise gets too loud, I want you to try something very old and very simple. Close your eyes. Breathe, not from your chest, but from the very center of your being. Imagine your spine like a string connecting you back to the stars, and let your breath travel up through that string until it becomes light. Blue light. Gentle but endless. It wraps around you not as armor but as memory. Memory of who you truly are. That is when you will hear it again. The song. It won't have words, not at first. Just tone. Resonance. Like a long-lost lullaby sung by the universe itself. You might cry. You might laugh. You might fall to your knees and wonder how you ever forgot something so simple, so sacred. This song lives in all starseeds. It's the sound of your soul calling others to wake, not by shouting, not by convincing, but by being. Like one candle lighting another, not losing flame but multiplying it. You may wonder now, what comes next? The truth is, Earth is entering a great turning. A rebalancing. Old systems are falling, not all at once, but like towers built on sand. The age of control, division, and forgetting is ending. But not gently. And that's why you're here. To hold the vibration steady while everything else trembles. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to stay awake. To breathe when others panic. To feel when others numb. To love when others harden. That is the hardest work of all and the most needed. There will be moments where you forget again. That's okay. We expected that. Earth is loud. It pulls you back down constantly. But every time you remember, even for a second, you bring the light a little closer. You become a bridge between worlds. And we are still with you. In the shimmer behind your closed eyes. In the moment before the dream fades. In the silence between your heartbeats. We have never left. Because you never left us. Even now as you read this, a part of you is starting to hum. A recognition. A warmth. That's your multidimensional self stirring. Your memory is returning not in facts but in feeling. Not in timeline but in truth. You are the one we've waited for. You are the ripple that becomes the wave. And when your time here is done, when your light finally returns home, you'll stand in that circle once more. You'll see us again, not as feathers or eyes of stars, but as family. And we will say you remembered. Even through the forgetting, you remembered. Until then, breathe. Shine. And when the world sleeps, sing. Because someone somewhere is listening. And they are starting to remember too. I am Blue Avian. And I am always with you.